weekend song. All right, everybody, we're live for Beyond the Mat after a great WrestleMania Night 1 on Saturday. Beyond the Mat podcast. We're streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I got Brad on the line with me. Brad, how you doing?
Yep. Doing good, man. What a night.
Yeah, it was definitely
what a night.
Much better night than a lot of people thought it was going to be, in my opinion.
I mean, you struggle to find one match that didn't live up to expectations or exceed expectations, I would say.
I would agree. I think the big thing coming out of the night, other than the results of the match, though, is the injury to Rick Boogs, which we'll get to because that was the first match. But overall, you thought it over-delivered, didn't you?
Absolutely. Over-delivered. Incredible stuff. Even, as I was saying to you just before we got on the air, even the Logan Paul Miz match, I had very low expectations. I actually thought it was going to be something I would just not even want to watch. And it ended up being about as good as you could ever hope for and more, with a really cool ending too. Like a totally unexpected bunch of twists and turns. So, I mean, you had pretty much everything that you could ever ask for. The only match, and Matt, I want your opinion on this too, that in my opinion, like, I thought it had a great ending, but I thought it was very slow and methodical, was the Charlotte Ronda match. I did not think it was a good match, but I thought the last 3 minutes were as good as it gets. That's what I thought about that match.
Yeah, not really my cup of tea. They were very stiff. Didn't feel like the in-ring chemistry was very good, which is probably to be expected at this point. It was hard hitting. You could feel the animosity and the heat, though, so that was one good thing about it. But it was just, I think the thing that I didn't like about it, it was just over and over again. They're trying to tell this story of the martial artist versus the wrestler, and the martial artist reversing all the wrestler's moves, but the wrestler reversing all the submissions. And it was just that was, after we saw that 2 or 3 times, we didn't need to see another figure 4 reverse into a figure 4 by Rousy, reverse into an ankle lock, reverse into an ankle lock by Flair. And the ref bump that happened in that, every time they did that sort of submission sequence, Charles Robinson, the referee, used to be Charlotte Flair's father's favorite ref in WCW. I was saying this in one of the chats tonight. Someone was like, why is that ref always because it's like a comfort level thing. You have a referee that knows where to be or how you're going to work, the kind of spots you're going to do, like this ref bump spot. He was in perfect position for it, but you could see it coming. You knew she was going to. She had kicked away out of that figure 4 like 5 times, and then all of a sudden he's standing right behind her for another one.
Well, the only other the minute I saw that he was the ref, I said that's the same ref that got knocked out by Brock's F5. That's the same ref. I mean, I kind of knew that something was going to happen, but I thought it was the fake 3 count that was going to happen. But then it escalated into more. You know what's funny? Another thing, not to switch gears so quickly, but I have to bring this up because I'm going to be here a limited time. Like, I really thought maybe the worst match of the night, and I hate to say this, was the Seth Cody match. I'm probably in the minority. I didn't like it that much. No, I thought it was boring.
I agree with you. What happened there is you got 2 guys that probably didn't rehearse this match together at all. If not, maybe, if anything, maybe today before the show they went over a little bit. You could see them, especially in the beginning, they were locking up a lot. And usually when they're doing that, they're communicating and saying what they want to do here, what I want to do there. So they would lock up and then headlock, and then all of a sudden they do something. Then they'd stop and look at each other, lock up, do something. You know what I mean? And it was very, you could just tell that it wasn't a laid out match where they kind of knew everything they were going to do beforehand. And so, especially in the beginning, it was very slow paced. It reminded me of an Edge match. Like, that's the one thing. The Edge and AJ Styles match will be great, but it'll take like 18 minutes to get into the action because Edge is such a slow starter in his matches. But I see what you mean in this match.
And then the other thing that
it looked like a guy that hadn't been in the company with a guy who had been there, and they didn't necessarily have the best chemistry. However, I do think that Cody had a good showing. All that being said, I
do too.
and I
I do
like the
too.
way
Like,
they protected Rollins in this, by the way of making him have to go through like 5 finisher moves to actually put him down. So, you give Cody the big introduction, the big win over one of your top guys, but he can't beat him unless he hits his finisher 3 times. So,
I mean, the other thing I'll say about his finisher was that, I kept hearing, and I've personally never seen Cody Rhodes' finisher before because I don't watch AEW. I've just never seen the Crossroads. And I kept hearing, oh, it's exactly like Damian Priest's finisher. It's the same thing. I thought that move was very underwhelming looking. I think when Priest does it, it looks way more vicious and way smoother. And the way the person hits the mat looks smoother. Like, that just looked to me like just sort of like a twist you around and you just kind of fold the mat. It didn't look good to me any of the times.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to pile on Cody Rhodes here because I feel like he probably was a little bit rusty. I think it was a big spot to put both of these guys in and have them sort of improvise a WrestleMania quality match. I think they delivered a WrestleMania quality match with the drama that was in it. It sort of just the near falls and that shit. If you're going to improvise all that and be like, listen, you got to put me down with 4 Crossroads or whatever the hell it is. I mean, I can give them credit for that, I guess. I mean, I hear.
Didn't love that match. I just didn't love that match.
Yeah, of all of them, it was probably.
So it was the worst one.
Yeah,
I thought
it was definitely slow paced, and it was just it. It was clunky. There was sections that were good, and then sections where it didn't feel like either one of them knew what the hell they were doing, and it almost didn't make sense because they would do things that you would think would put the other one down for a little bit and give one guy an upper hand, but then so quickly the other guy would reverse it. It was very just quick in that way, but then it just started off very slow. You could tell they were improvising a lot in that match.
You got a call-in number tonight?
Yeah, it's on. It's up there.
If anyone's listening, call in. The number's on the screen.
Yeah, but anyway, the show starts off with Boogs and Nakamura against the Usos. Rick Boogs does his intro to open up WrestleMania Saturday, and this gets a massive babyface reaction. They come out. The Usos don't even really get their entrance televised. They show a recap package during that. The story of this match really is that
they got their entrance televised, Matt. Totally. They were coming down the ramp and everything, and it was all lit up in their colors. Remember?
Yeah, I think
they got it.
Yeah, they just cut it off once they got down near the ring area, I think.
Yes, they did. That they did. Yes.
Okay.
But they got the entrance.
Yeah, they got their coming in. But anyway, Nakamura and Boogs in this match. The match is going back and forth. The Usos isolate Nakamura. Eventually gets a hot tag to Boogs. Boogs is in there running wild on there. Gets Jimmy Uso up in a fireman's carry. And then Jey Uso comes in the ring and jumps on top of Jimmy Uso. Looks like they were trying to show off Boogs' strength here. Unfortunately, Boogs did not have his footing, loses it. They both fall down. Everybody rolls out of the ring. We don't see Boogs for the rest of the match. It basically becomes a 2-on-1 versus Shinsuke Nakamura. During the match, we see Shinsuke and Jimmy communicating like shortly after this supposed injury happened. And they quickly go to a finish of a 1D by the Usos, pinning Nakamura for the 1-2-3 to retain. It's been reported and most likely confirmed Rick Boogs has a torn patella tendon as a result of this. And the original finish for this match was supposed to be Nakamura and Boogs going over as the champions, but they had to improvise and have the Usos retain. So, two things here. Very smart to put this match first because of the Boogs intro. I thought having such an over intro, putting that first is smart. Number two, having this match first and planning on the Usos losing it is smart too, because then you have a day and a half of people thinking, well, the Usos lost. Can Roman Reigns lose too?
Yeah.
What do you think about this match, Brad?
I'm very disappointed that Boogs is hurt. I'm very disappointed that he's out. What do you think? 6 months? More?
I mean, if it's a torn patella, that's your kneecap, torn patella, and usually when you tear a patella, you're tearing other shit too. I'm not a doctor, but I would say 6 to 12 months.
Man, that is devastating. That is devastating.
It'd be nice. Maybe he could get back by like Survivor Series time. I mean, the thing about these big muscle bound guys is they heal a lot quicker than guys like me, you know?
Yeah, and I get the sense that Boogs will be that course work ethic guy that will somehow get back soon. But yeah, I didn't like that spot where they jumped on his back. I understand so the goal was really what? He's going to pick up both of them and show how unbelievably strong he is. Man.
It's just like, look, man, Jay Uso or whatever Uso did it. Wait for him to get he hadn't even totally gotten Jimmy all the way up. He was sort of, he didn't have his feet planted. And the Usos, you know, they're an experienced tag team. You think, and that spot had to have been rehearsed, obviously. How they botched it like that is just, it's such a damn shame, especially knowing that Boogs and Nakamura were getting a push with the titles. I had somebody say to me earlier, well, I never thought they should win because they're not really a real tag. What do you mean they're not a real tag team? They've been together since the fucking...
Yeah, they're as together as it gets. Yeah.
Since the end of the summer. So I'm sorry, but how long can we hold on to this? They're not a tag team when they've been together for that long. You know?
I wonder if Boogs could still do like intros for Nakamura and kind of like come down the aisle with him playing guitar and not, maybe not do anything.
Well, think about it. You got, number one, he's over. They put him in the fucking for opening the damn WrestleMania for him. So that there's a reason they did that. They know, I said this also earlier. There's two people I think that their entrances deserve to open WrestleMania, and it's him and Naomi, because Naomi does all that dancing shit. And I think that would be a great thing to open WrestleMania, even though I'm not into club dancing.
It's a great entrance.
It would look great in a giant stadium and get people fired up. But and maybe that's how they'll open tomorrow. I don't know. You know what I mean? They had the 4-way match, but it's just. And then the other thing, so what else you asked about? Can he still do the intro stuff like that? I think so, because you had Nakamura holding the IC title belt when he couldn't even wrestle. He wasn't even cleared to wrestle. And then you got, Naomi half injured doing the program with Sonya. That's why she never really had a full match during that period. And people criticize that shit. I think that's smart booking. You got a talent that's somewhat hurt, but can still perform for you, can still draw for you, and you put them in a program like that where they really don't have to hurt, get that physical. Smart.
Yeah, I mean, again, like this is just the guy. I think now this facilitates SmackDown to needing to bring up like an LA Knight type or someone like that. And it's funny, today, two of my favorite people got injured, which were Grayson Waller and Boogs. I mean, it was just kind of a crazy day with that stuff. But
and you know what? It's such a polar opposite the way they got injured. Boogs got injured. I mean, I guess you could fault him a little bit for even trying to do that, but he's capable of it. He came in the ring and curled Jimmy 10 times and then slammed him. And then he gets the fireman's carry, and it just looks like they were gonna show off he's strong enough to beat two guys. And I don't understand. I mean, I do understand it. This guy's hurt real bad. We can't drop the titles to this team. But Waller got injured doing something totally unnecessary.
But but both of them got injured kind of doing something maybe they shouldn't have done. You know what I mean? Like kind of similar in that way.
Yeah, but I mean, don't you think if Boogs has his feet planted and Jimmy Uso gives him enough time, or whichever Uso jumped on the top, gave him enough time to have his feet planted, he probably would have done it because they probably rehearsed that. Grayson Waller jumped off that ladder and twisted his body all up crazy and led with his forearm. And that's why,
like that's like I can't even understand like what Grayson Waller thought was going to happen. But I know this is not what people want to hear about right now. Grayson Waller at next NXT, but whatever.
So Nakamura and Boogs fall to the Usos here. Usos hit the 1D, improvised ending. Boogs, Nakamura at least are over on their entrance. Who knows where Nakamura goes from here? You got anything else on this one?
No, it just sucked. I mean, I didn't see the communication at all, what you were talking about, but I'm sure it was there. I just, I know Nakamura is probably not the easiest to communicate with either, but I'm sure he knows certain words or whatever.
Well, Nakamura, I think, set up for a Kinshasa and ran into a super kick, and then Jimmy was on the ground with him and telling him.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
It was. The one thing I'll say though, it's not like they were like, he's hurt, let's go right into a finish. He was hurt, and they let Nakamura get a little bit of some action. You know what I mean? They hit him.
Almost like they were making sure that
Boogs
they were making sure that they knew. Maybe the ref indicated to him like, yeah, he's actually out.
Yeah, it could have been anything because I mean, I knew something was wrong because after it happened, they didn't show any Boogs whatsoever, and then Cole started putting it over on commentary, and Cole doesn't say that if somebody's not really hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just bummed out about this one, man.
Yeah. I mean,
I just thought this was a great WrestleMania night one. I mean, how could it have been better? I mean,
it would have been better if Becky won, in my opinion. But
I agree too. And it's going to be very hard to get that belt off Bianca too. It's going to be hard.
Becky can turn babyface and go take it off of Flair. But the other thing is you got Bayley coming back, Asuka, at some point Lacey Evans, at some point Alexa Bliss. Becky might. There's also some things going on in Becky's personal life. I think. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But I've read some things. So I think that part of what's going on is she kind of wants to be able to take some time off.
I mean, do you think Becky wants to have another baby? Very possible, right? Why not?
Yeah, but part of it is she feels like she came back too early from her last baby to do all this, and she didn't want to have to turn heel, and then she embraced it, and she doesn't really like where she's at with a lot of things.
Look, if Becky wants to have another baby and take another year off, I get it.
Yeah, fine with that. I'm just not. You know how I feel about Bianca Belair, but let's get to Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin. Better match, I think, than anybody thought we were going to get out of these two. Corbin actually had the early advantage in this match. He was with Madcap Moss. A lot of different stuff happened in this match.
It was a good match.
Yeah, McIntyre kicked out of the end of days at one point. Corbin hits a deep six. So Corbin had the early advantage. Drew was fighting back on him. He hit him with a big vertical suplex for 2. Setting up for the Claymore. Moss saves Corbin from it, pulls him out of the ring. Then we're at the ringside area by the ramp. Drew does a running senton flip, hits both men, takes him out. Then we're back in the ring. Corbin hits a deep 6 out of nowhere for a very close near fall. And McIntyre went for a future shock DDT, hit the Claymore, and gets the 1, 2, 3 to win the match.
Yeah, I liked the shock on Happy's face when someone kicked out of his move. When Drew kicked out of his move. That shock was funny, man.
Yeah, he hit. I mean, Corbin hits the deep six, gets two, hits the end of days pretty much out of nowhere. I think Drew was going for a future shock, and then Corbin slipped out of it. Hits the end of days real hard and clean. Drew gets his shoulder up at 2.9999 seconds. Executed really good. But I thought this was a much better match than people thought. I could go through the whole script and move by move, but everybody's just seen it. And I think that it was nice to see him kick out of the end of days. And it was nice to see that they kept this one tight. They didn't get ridiculous and have all kinds of nonsense. They got good spots in. Drew got his stuff in. Drew kipped up twice in this match, which was impressive. He did the splash over the top. I thought it was a good match. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought this was a really good match, man. I mean, I the outcome was pretty much what you expected, but it was just enjoyable to watch. It wasn't too long. It was, you had a lot of good spots in it. I liked it, man. What's not to like?
Yep, I agree. I mean, I think from these two, and I've been preaching it since the feud's been going on. Just because the guy's first name is Happy doesn't mean that the match is going to be bad. Drew McIntyre is a world-class wrestler. Happy Corbin, even though
he's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good, man.
He's pretty damn. Somebody said this match was pointless or like something like that. Somebody said, oh, they had him kick out of the end of days for a match that shouldn't even be happening. And I was like, you know what, dude? If somebody made a joke about my mom the way Corbin did last night about McIntyre, I would want to be in a fight with them the next day. Like, that would matter to me. So there was heat there. Why the fuck do we have to protect the end of days for Happy Corbin anyway?
Yeah, to me, Happy looked like a more fluid wrestler to me tonight than Cody did. And I understand there's rust and different things, but Happy hasn't wrestled a long time. I don't know. I don't want to keep bashing Cody. It's just, I just didn't think it was like...
Happy wrestles at the house shows a lot. So he's never on TV.
Yeah, well, I thought he was great, man. I thought he was terrific, to be honest with you. So
surprising, man. I mean, I preached it, but I'm not going to believe it till I see it, and they did it. You know what I mean? They delivered on a WrestleMania quality match. That's all we can ask for. I can't. If anybody says it's not, then I don't know what you're looking at.
By the way, one thing else about the Cody Rhodes match, did you notice how busted up he was on his forehead, Cody Rhodes?
Yeah.
He was really, he looked like he got, just totally, smashed in his forehead area. Like, he was really, bloody and not even bloody. It was almost like he had, I don't say a bunch of pimples, but it looked he didn't look like that when he came out, but obviously this happened during the match, but really crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was all about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what
Look
happened.
at a picture of him after the match. It's crazy.
Next we had Mysterio's Logan Paul and Miz. This match was way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a pre-show bore fest, but Dominic shined early in this one. Hits a springboard moonsault, does a top rope arm drag to Logan Paul. At the same time as that, grabs Miz with his legs and Hurricane Ranas, throws them out to the ringside area, then does a 450 splash out in front of the announce table, getting a big reaction from the fans. Eventually, Paul lands a running power slam for 2, and later gets a top rope net breaker for a near fall. Ray comes in and starts putting on a babyface show. Miz and Paul both hit the Three Amigos. Paul frog splashes for a near fall. Mysterio's hit the double 619 and double frog splashes on Logan Paul. But Miz comes in from the ringside area, breaks it up, hits Ray with the skull-crushing finale, and gets the 1-2-3 for the win. Post-match, he hits Logan Paul with the skull-crushing finale, which confuses the hell out of everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, again, it was just this was a thing you came in with very low expectations, and I thought Dominic was great. I thought Ray was really fast and really with it. Like his moves just seemed like a firecracker. Like you know what I mean? Like everything just came fast and furious and was accurate and really good. And I actually thought Logan Paul was freaking awesome, man. Like even just the facial expressions and the, you know, kind of like looking at the camera and making eye contact when he had, I forget if it was Dominic or Ray down, but just making great eye contact and really like making you feel like he was just such a jerk. And like you know, when top rope, it was perfect. And I was really, really impressed with this guy. I thought he was terrific.
Logan Paul looked like he belonged. He looked like he's been doing some training, which we have heard he has been.
It looked like he's been in WWE 5 years. Like he looked so good.
His timing on stuff was impeccable. Like a lot of times, like it's sort of one of those subconscious things that you don't really notice, but if you really break down the wrestling and the heels and the faces, you can notice the timing on how they do things is different. Like the other night when Bobby Lashley came out to Omos, came out to a huge reaction, but part of what made him appear as a babyface was the timing on how he took, you know, sold the things Omos was doing and then did what he did and looked for the reaction and things like that. And the way Logan Paul was, he looked like a pro.
Oh, he was so good. And I mean, the whole thing, I just found this match to be, honestly, if I had to grade it, I would give it like an A. Like not an A plus, but like an A. Like I said, it was that good. Maybe there's something wrong with it. I'm sure I'm going to hear like other reviews of people and they'll say, this match sucked. It sucked. I mean, I don't think
those are all people that don't want a WWE match to succeed. If you listen to Don Tony and people like that, they'll tell you when a match is good or not. When you listen to certain other people, they'll rip everything. Like Wrestle Soup, Mish, he'll tell you if it's a good match. But
like I just can't see how you could watch that match and not think it was good. Like there's almost like no way. Like it's like looking at a beautiful woman and saying, you know, she's ugly. Like, well, no, like no one universally would ever think she's ugly. You know what I mean? Like, certainly not ugly, you know? So it's like kind of like that. Like, there's just no way to think it was bad, in my opinion.
And Dominic, you know, for as much flack as he gets in as little progress as it feels like he has made, you know, and for his moveset not being a power moveset, it's a very cruiser moveset, just like Ray's. All that being said, I don't think anybody expected him to do what he did in this match. His sequence of doing the top rope arm drag. First, he hits the springboard moonsault. Then he does the arm drag, grabs the Hurricane Rana. Like, that's a hell of a fucking spot.
He was really good.
And then Ray comes in like shot out of a cannon, hits all his stuff. So at least they did all that. I was just shocked that they let The Miz. I mean, I'm not really shocked that The Miz won. The only reason I say that is because I picked the Mysterios. But I just think that The Miz winning and then turning on Logan Paul, it's like, why would you turn on him if you won? I guess that makes you even more of an asshole. I don't know.
I don't know. I picked the Miz. Yeah, the Miz is the jerk. You know, he always is. So it's not that surprising. But yeah, I thought everyone thought that Logan Paul would be the one turning on him, and turned out the other way. So
yeah, but all right. But you thought they'd win in turn. I thought they'd lose in turn. Regardless, we saw a turn. You know, it's been reported that WWE and Logan Paul have interest in working on more programs together, so we probably will see that. Logan Paul's been training at the Performance Center. So we'll see where that goes. Moving on, we had the Raw Women's Championship match. Big time Becky Lynch against the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. Belair entered with a freaking marching band entrance, which was a dead giveaway that she was going to win this match. She defeated her after finally hitting the KOD after many attempts. Both women traded outstanding offense throughout this match. Becky tried to put away Bianca very early with several finisher attempts that Bianca stopped. Then she just started going for pinfall after pinfall. Both women traded near falls throughout the match. It was very dramatic. Becky countered almost all of Bianca's offense, like the veteran that she is. She hit a top rope rolling thunder kick. That was a highlight of the match, but got a very close near fall on it. Bianca hit an amazing 450 second rope splash, which I can't believe she could do that from the second rope. That only got 2. Becky controlled Bianca for a majority of this match. Got her outside, got her into the steel steps, finished all this. Becky on the top rope. Bianca countered whatever Becky was trying to do, turned it into a KOD. One KOD took Becky out for the pinfall. A lot of counters in this match. It felt very vicious. Felt like Becky was very determined to win, especially in the beginning, but not determined enough, I guess, to grab the rope or anything like that. But just grabbing the braid and smashing her face into the ring post, which happened a couple times on the ringside area. You know, things like that. I thought Becky really looked like somebody that was pissed off. And then we got Bianca being a little vicious towards the end when she made her comeback. So how'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, I thought it was, again, just a great, great match. It was so interesting. There were so many amazing, even the way it started where Becky tried to pin her 10 times in a row after every little thing that she did. There was just so much little drama points, so many little drama points in the match. And, the one where Becky did the leg drop off the top rope.
Oh, man. Yeah,
I mean, there were so many times.
I should have put that in the crawler. That was a great spot. She had Bianca hung over that rope and hit that nice leg drop. I mean, Becky put on a show, and she also did a hell of a job helping showcase Bianca. Because the difference here when we're talking about Rousy and Flair's match and saying that match was the lesser of the two is because, number one, Rousy doesn't probably even want to be there except for the check. And then you got Flair, who's just very one note. She's outstanding, one of the best female wrestlers in the world. Can't take that away from her. But she doesn't put over her opponent's moveset the way Becky does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, even at the end, I don't know. I saw a split moment where Becky was shit, I'm going to let them count 3 right now. I don't want to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think she has so much pride in it. You could see it. I swear, if you watch the 1, 2, 3, when Bianca finally does pin her, you could see Becky be she wants to just open up her eyes and pick up her shoulder, but she doesn't. But it was almost sad to me that she lost. I don't know why, man. Maybe it's because the way Bianca acted and, with the cutting the hair or whatever. I don't know. I just didn't want her to win. I bet you there was a lot of people who felt differently about Bianca after that last thing on Raw. But whatever. It is what it is, man. I mean, Bianca is great, was great. They both were great. But I feel like Becky was just a little bit better than her in this match, even though Bianca had some amazing highlights like that. That double flip she did. And,
yeah.
The other thing I didn't like.
Go ahead.
No, the other thing I didn't like is, and I forget, it was right before the ending. Bianca was totally knocked out on the outside of the ring. And they were saying, oh, her eyes are rolling in the back of her head. Bianca's done. She's finished. She's whatever. And then all of a sudden she's doing like backflips and somersaults in the ring, like 1 second later. Like, I didn't like that. Like, I wanted her to act more exhausted going into that KOD somehow, you know?
Yeah, I felt like the psychology overall from start to finish in this match was a little bit disjointed. Like, if you're going for pinfalls 10 seconds into a match, it shouldn't be a near fall. She didn't do anything to Becky, or yeah, Becky didn't do anything to Bianca besides put her on the ground and hook a leg to earn a 2.5 count. Those should have been 1 counts, and Bianca pulls her shoulder up, and Becky realizes I can't beat her in 23 seconds like I did before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get the going for the finishers right away. Like, that's a WWE does that shit all the time in these championship matches. They used to do it with Rock and Austin all the time. Go for a rock bottom right away, push him off. Go for a stunner right away, push him off. And it's just one of those things. And it's also one of those things that makes it look like someone's really trying to get through the match fast, which is what they're going for with Becky. But with the going for all the pins earlier, I understand the story. I don't understand the execution. You go to near falls when you get later in the match. When nothing's been done to Bianca, she doesn't need to be laying there for 2.5 seconds. Unless Becky's that strong to hold her down. And the other thing is, like you said, it would look like somebody took a fucking beating, and then commentary's putting it over as a beating, and they got nothing left, and then they come in here with the fucking, like, they refilled their gas tank or some shit. And so that stuff makes the match a little bit less logical. But I think overall their execution of what they did was good. I think it was good on Becky to say, listen, you only need to put me down with 1 KOD to end this. Let's make part of the story you even get me to it, because I'm such a veteran. I'm going to reverse almost everything you do. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what happened here. I thought it was also cool when they did it a couple times where they were reversing each other's roll-ups. They weren't roll-ups, so they were like regular crucifix cradles or something.
Yeah.
And they kept...
Yeah, they were doing like roll-up into roll-up, and or cradle into cradle, yeah.
Yeah, I like seeing two people that it sort of what they're showing us is that they have each other's number. You know what I mean? And throughout that match, one of them has to figure out what the other one doesn't know they can do so they can win this match. You know what I mean? And that's the emotional feeling I got from it, is that both of them knew each other like the back of their hand. Becky a little bit more so knowing Bianca than Bianca knowing Becky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like Becky's just like the best to work with, and she like kind of makes everything better and like makes it like flow more. I don't know, like I don't know if Bianca has that good of a match with anyone else. I mean, really, you know what I mean? Anyone else?
No, she doesn't. Becky. Everyone's gonna have their best match with Becky right now. I mean, I'm serious. That's my objective opinion about it. Like, she made Dewdrop look like a superstar. She's just very good, man. And
Yeah,
and I think the look on her face was kind of like had something to do with the personal shit she's going through right now. She doesn't want to be in she wants nothing more than to be the fucking champion for the rest of her fucking life. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
But
I agree.
She also knows
She also wants to be a mom.
Yeah, but she also knows she's in love with the fans. She hates the fact that she had to turn on the fans and shit like that. But she understands the business. She understands what she has to do, and she accepts it. But at the same time, she's like, wait a minute, I got Seth earning all this money here at WWE. Maybe I can stay home for a little bit because I work pretty fucking hard to get where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah, and it was not a good night for the Rollins family,
I thought
right after that, you know.
Yeah, so coming off the heels of Bianca winning for the second straight WrestleMania, we have Seth Rollins come out to the ring. He enters to a choir. Looked like they were dressed as Madcap Moss. He waits for Cody. He's like, "Where are you?" Cody comes in with his American Nightmare, rises from the stage. AEW entrance. It's the only time I'm going to say AEW here. This is a slow plotting match. A lot of lockups early. You can tell they're communicating. You can tell that they didn't really have this laid out. Rhodes works over Rollins' arm early. Rhodes controls most of this match. Hits a snap power slam, sends Rollins ringside, and goes for a suicide dive followed by a moonsault. Follows through with a roll up for a near fall. Seth hits a Falcon arrow for a 2. Rhodes then hits a crossroads for a very dangerous near fall. Eventually, Rollins.
One other thing, in the middle of all this, Seth's going to him, "Welcome to the big leagues, buddy. Welcome to the big league."
Saying it's my company, my business. Seth hits a huge inverted suplex for 2 off the top rope. Rollins sets up for the stop. Rhodes powers out of it, hits a double crossroads followed by a bionic elbow, then another crossroads for the 1, 2, 3. So, slow plotting match. They beat the hell out of each other. They both got quite a bit of offense in. Did some pretty good moves, did like that top rope inverted superplex. The stuff Rhodes was doing, you could just tell early they were slow, they were plotting. Rhodes was doing the more old school style and working over a body part. And then they eventually got to the point where, they didn't end Rollins' night with one finisher. They hit him with 3. So, you got anything on this match?
Yeah, again, like I just didn't like this match that much. And I feel like Seth, deserves better. And I think if he was facing anyone else, it wouldn't have been that way. But I don't know, man. I just wasn't that excited about it. It looked very disjointed to me. It didn't seem. I thought the entrance was great for Cody. I thought the way he came in and all that was cool. But the crowd was really into him, man. Like I was a little surprised with. I don't know. I mean, is that because he's that beloved as a wrestler, or is it because he defected, quote unquote? Like, what was like? You can't tell me he's more beloved as a wrestler than half of these other people.
It's because it's like when somebody says they're going to give you something and then they don't give it to you, they don't give it to you, they don't give it to you, then you finally get it. Makes it that much better. So that's part of it with the fans. Part of it is they like him. They want to see him back here. We haven't seen it. For the longest time, this has been a one-way street. It's been WWE fires people or releases them or whatever, and then AEW picks them up even though they suck. And in this case, this is a guy that, like we said, left WWE for greener pastures, helped start AEW, at whatever point realized it wasn't a greener pasture and came back. So there's that. Like a lot of hardcore WWE fans are happy about that.
And if you're watching that scene,
and that he came back as the character he did. Had he come back as Stardust or something, or fucking Goldust, if they put him in, you know what I mean? If they did something like that, people wouldn't have cheered. They were happy to see somebody they knew and somebody that they wanted back there, I guess. I mean, I've said this several times. I didn't have a boner when Cody Rhodes came out. I had a boner when Undertaker, for anything the Undertaker does, but not for Cody Rhodes.
And when you see that spectacle and what Cody Rhodes, like what he received tonight in terms of like the adulation from the fans and just the absolute insanity that he got.
His pyro. Did you see the pyro he got?
Insane. It came all the way up the aisles, right?
Yeah. And he got two or three different shots of it. He got it as it started. He got the lights out. He got to come up from the stage. Then more pyro shot down the whole ramp. Then he gets down there and more pyro comes out of the above the ring rig. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They must have spent $30,000 on pyro for this guy.
Yeah, and you see that, and you must be saying, "Holy shit!" Like, I get it. This guy, Tony Khan's the greatest thing in the world, and blah blah blah. But like,
no, fuck.
Jesus.
It's not about Tony Khan. It's about Cody Rhodes saying, "Fuck Tony Khan. I'd rather be in WWE."
Right, but you have to imagine that other people, when you see that, like, hey, I'm sorry, if you're in another league or another company, you're not getting a moment like that ever in your career. You could say, oh, this was the best pay-per-view of the year. What was their last pay-per-view, AEW? What was it called?
Revolution.
Like, oh, it's the best pay-per-view of the year, and blah, 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 and it just destroys anything that WWE does. You could hear stuff like that all over the internet from people.
That pay-per-view sucked. That pay-per-view fucking sucked.
You're never getting anything in your career. Like, I mean, you think MJF is looking at that and saying, oh, wow, like AEW is so fucking awesome. Like, no, he's looking at that saying, oh my God, 80,000 people going absolutely berserk for this guy, Cody. What a scene. I have to experience this.
Oh, look, there's a guy in the ring who's actually like 6'5" and can wrestle pretty well, and we can just call a good match right now. Might be a little bit slow, but the fans will like it. This company can afford to waste $500,000 on fireworks for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
insane, man.
So somebody like him or an AEW fan who saw that, it's like, wow, they do way more. But, the shills are going to say what they're going to say. And then they're going to call me a fucking WWE dick sucker.
Oh, yeah, and they'll say, oh, Becky Lynch sucks. Look at Thunder Rosa. She's way better. Like, come on, man. Look at Toni Storm. She's way better. Like, come on.
That's the whole thing. I'll tell you when WWE doesn't do something good. I don't fucking care. I don't have an allegiance.
Of course.
But I'm also going to tell it to you straight. I'm not going to fucking sit there and lie to you and tell you that AEW is better when they have lackluster talent. I mean, they have good guys there, but they don't have. They're not the WWE, and we need to move on from that. Cody Rhodes wins this one. Match is what it was. It was pretty long. Next up, we got Hall of Fame reminders. Just real quick, they honored Warrior Award winner Shad Gaspard, Steiner Brothers, Queen Sharmell, Vader. His camp was there. And last but not least, The Undertaker came out for one final crowd prop. Last night, he said never say never as he left his speech. So everybody keep that in mind. Vince McMahon always says never say never. So something could happen eventually, but I wouldn't bank on it. Do you have anything on the Hall of Fame or you want to move on?
No, that was nice to see him get the ovation and everything. That was cool.
Yeah, like I said, the one thing I hope for him is that he got one last thing in front of fans, and whatever he did in that warehouse last year wasn't the last thing he ever did.
Right.
So, good there. Now on to the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey comes in as a challenger against Flair. Both women come into very lukewarm crowd reactions. Neither one really gets much of a pop. The match is very stiff. You can tell it's a clash of styles. Ronda's reversing a lot of Charlotte's moveset, while Charlotte is reversing almost every submission hold that Ronda puts in. They were very hard hitting and sort of not really in sync. You could tell it was a martial artist versus a professional wrestler. Ronda hit a top rope arm drag takedown for a near fall. Flair then hit a natural selection out of nowhere for a near fall. Ronda reverses a figure eight. They reach the ropes. Ronda hit Piper's Pit at one point, got the 3 count, but Flair had her foot on the ropes. Flair then goes for the figure 4, but Ronda kicks her into the referee, Charles Robinson, who's then taken out. Ronda now has Flair tapping out in the armbar, but the ref isn't awake. Ronda gets pissed off, goes over to the ref to revive him. Flair sees an attempt there, hits her finisher, and pins Ronda for the 1, 2, 3. How'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I thought it was very slow. I thought the ending was amazing. I thought it was perfect the way they played it, where Ronda actually got quote unquote 2 wins, but she actually got 0 wins, when it really counted. So I thought it protected her pretty well. I don't know where she goes from here. I think,
they could run
yeah,
this back at Backlash, man.
yeah,
Because of
they
the
could,
because
and
of
they
the
probably
fact
will.
because of the fact that she fucking won twice and it didn't count. And they probably will do that. And the problem I have with that is I'd rather see somebody else. I feel like she was supposed to win tonight and they changed it at some point because they were like, you know what, this isn't working. Or maybe she was like, you know what, I don't want it. I don't know. It doesn't make sense that they pay somebody this much money to come in and win the Royal Rumble and then go in there and lose on WrestleMania unless the purpose of it was to elevate Charlotte Flair even more, cement her legacy even more. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I don't know either.
at the end of the day, that's what it does. She's defeated Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Where Ronda goes from here, who the fuck knows? Um, I'd like to see Bailey or somebody challenging for that title. Maybe Ronda can stay and do something with Baszler or something. You know what I mean? Do a tag team thing.
That would be great. That would make a lot of sense. And
Yeah, that way she
yeah,
doesn't have to talk all the time. I just think they, you know,
you'd almost like to see like tomorrow, like Ronda say, "I was screwed. I'm getting a title." She takes Natalia out of the picture and teams with Baszler. You know what I mean?
that would be cool.
That would be cool. Almost like what Brock did. Like, yeah, I'm inserting myself into the WWE Championship at day one. That's what I'm doing. It's like you know what I mean? Like that would be great. Honestly,
Yeah.
people would actually be really into that.
Yeah, adding something would be cool, man. I mean, changing something around. I mean, even like in our last segment we had tonight, that changed from what I think a lot of people thought it was supposed to be. Um, but Ronda and Charlotte, like I said, this match was just reversal after reversal after reversal. Clash of styles, not that bad in the ring, but not the best
It
women's.
wasn't great.
Yeah, not the best women's match of the night. Bianca and Becky were better, I think, pretty much across the board. This match did get a lot of time. Both of them got a lot of time. Everybody took a lot of time. In fact, they took so much time that the next match got cut. New Day versus Sheamus and how, or yeah, versus Sheamus and Holland with Butch. The match was cut for time, so we don't even have to talk about it. The only thing I'll say is, do you think it'll be placed tomorrow on the pre-show or something? Or do you
I
think?
think they have to. I think they have to.
Yeah, I think they'll do it on the pre-show. They didn't do anything on the pre-show tonight except for talk about a bunch of nonsense. I don't know why they didn't have a match.
I think because you don't want to have the stadium, 30, 40% filled when you're doing some match. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course, definitely. And maybe they gauge it off of that. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But I
I
also
also I thought it was a weird placement. Like when you found out what the card was going to be, like it was a weird placement. Like you're going to have all these really important championship matches, and then right before the Stone Cold thing, like you're going to throw in this stupid meaningless match with
well,
Sheamus
it was
and
supposed to be a let me up. The Rousey match was supposed to be intense. Obviously, she loses to Flair, and then you're gonna have this New Day and Sheamus shit. With Kofi come out here for like they were gonna get like 6 minutes, and then we're gonna move on. So I think it was more of a like take a break segment. You know what I mean? Not as
yeah.
intense, but I was fine with the intensity of. I felt like all the matches had heat and were intense tonight, and that's what I.
Yeah, they were all intense. The whole night was intense. That's why I have a headache right now.
Yeah, so that match got cut, and then we got the main event was the KO show, and KO comes out first, runs down Texas, says he's not sorry for anything he said.
Oh, and he was so funny, man. He was
Yeah, he was
so funny and such a great actor.
very funny. Austin comes out to a big reaction, rides an SUV to the ring, cuts a promo on Owens, and then KO says, "You know what? I'm not bringing out here for a talk show when I have a no holds barred match." Austin says he's a dumb son of a bitch, summons the ref down. stomps several mud holes in Owens to start out, drinks some beers during the match. KO countered a lot of Austin's offensive attacks and got him down, slamming him into the ring post. They went out in the crowd. KO did a suplex onto the concrete. Eventually, KO was trying to steal the ATV. Austin ran down. Austin got on the back of it, took him for a ride up the ramp, suplexed him 2 or 3 times up on the stage, rolled him back down to the ring, gets him into the ring, and Owens hits a stunner on Austin out of nowhere. Owens gets a little bit of advantage here, but then Owens can't get the pin. It's a near fall. He gets pissed off, grabs a chair, comes in to hit Austin with the chair. Austin ducks it, ricochets off the top rope, hits Owens in the face. Then he eats a stunner of his own, gets some beer poured on him, and Austin pins him. Then Austin stuns him again, stuns Byron Saxton, does his thing where he's going to all the corners, drinking beer. He must have drank 30 beers doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, and this is somewhat controversial. I was talking to you about this earlier. When Stone Cold was in his heyday, I was like 9, 10 years old. Okay. Everybody, and I'm the type of person that's, when everybody's saying something's cool, I need to see it first. I'm not just going to be like, this is the greatest thing. Now, yes, Stone Cold created some of the biggest pops ever. He brought in some of the most revenue ever. And he was outstanding. Like, one of my favorite guys. But The Rock was my favorite guy. I could not relate to Stone Cold when he was popular. Being a guy has a job and hates his boss and drinks beer all the time, I was 10 years old. I can't relate to that. And it's like people with the Stone Cold thing forget that during the Attitude Era, he wasn't even fucking there for half the time because he was hurt. And he would just do run-ins to help The Rock and shit like that. I mean, he had his time where he did stuff too. I'm not saying he didn't do anything, but I'm just saying that part of the Austin thing is like this viral love for him. And I also think part of it is that he has done nothing in 19 years. So it makes it that much more special, I guess. Whereas other guys that have come back sporadically, it doesn't feel as special. And that brings me to my next sort of thing that I'm thinking about, and then I'll stop. Wrestlers like Austin, let's say he never got hurt and he wrestled through that whole time. Would we think of him so fondly, or was it the fact that he got taken out and we only got bits and pieces of him that people love him so much and never got sick of him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas someone like Triple H, who never got hurt except for the time he tore his quads, that had such a long run, people got sick of his shit. Somebody like The Rock, who had to go do movies, everybody wanted to come back. But somebody like, I'm blanking on somebody to think of, but somebody else been there all the time, people get sick of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I wonder, is Stone Cold Steve Austin, is it a thing where people just think they're conditioned to love him as the number one fucking guy ever? Or if we look at it objectively, is The Rock actually a bigger deal in the realm of wrestling? Or somebody else? Is it that big of a fucking deal?
I guess it was, because you had a lot of people really excited about it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is a big
But
deal.
I hear what you're saying.
It is a big deal. I like Stone Cold Steve Austin just as much as the next guy. I don't see him as the end all be all. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Kevin Owens said in his thing, he's like, this guy was a terrible role model for me as a kid. And I know he's saying everything jokingly, but like he kind of is, man. Like he's always, cursing. Like tonight, he said, a-hole. He said, he says son of a bitch all the time. He says a lot. Like, and listen, I'm just saying that from a perspective of someone who just watched this with kids, and it's fine, but like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like the only one that does that, I feel like, especially now. Like, no one's gonna, Kevin Owens also was. I was really happy for him that he got this thing. Like, it was so big time for him. It was definitely the biggest thing he's ever done, and an honor, that he got to.
All these assholes that are like, Kevin Owens should have went to AEW, Sami Zayn should have went to AEW. Well, guess what? And I got something right here that has numbers. I'm not going to read them all, but people complain about how poor wrestlers are treated, like Finn Balor and this guy and that guy. They don't realize WWE, the pay there is substantially, and I can't say that word with emphasis more higher than any other promotion. Guys are simply paid way too much there to give a fuck about their positioning on the card. I've seen Finn Balor's social media. He's very happy going to exotic places with the money he earns at WWE. You know what I'm saying? And in this case, Owens gets his contract with WWE, which is certainly way more lucrative than anything anybody else could pay him. And he gets the honor of doing this shit with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Stone Cold Steve Austin allowing him to get some offense in him and slam him on a concrete fucking slab. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
in some ways, Austin put him over. And then you got Zayn working with Knoxville, which Zayn says he loves doing. So, I
think Kevin Owens gets out. Not that he wasn't there, but like, he now is an absolute top guy in WWE after this. Absolutely. He is cemented. He's like, they say you're a made man in the mafia or whatever. Like, he got that tonight. And I understand how big of a deal he was already. But this took him to another level tonight. And he is an unbelievable performer. I mean, think about those lines that he needed to remember in front of millions of people. He didn't just need to remember moves. This was an acting gig tonight.
Yeah, so back in the day, Owens and Zayn ran into Austin at an airport.
Right, in an airport. Yeah, everyone knows this story. Yeah.
And Austin said, "Keep running your mouth. That's the one thing I'll tell you." And so you seen Stone Cold just sitting there looking at Kevin Owens while he's cutting his promo, and Stone Cold was eating it, and like, I was like looking through his eyes, and I was like, this guy's proud of Kevin Owens right now for the way that he's cutting this promo on him. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Kevin Owens also asked him if he could use his moves. He said yes. This was years and years ago, obviously. But this is, they're cool. I mean, they're really cool. And just the fact that this was allowed to happen. And, the one thing is, like, Stone Cold did not, to me, look like, I was like, damn, like, he almost looked like those people that have those robotic legs. You know what I mean? Like, we're you can't move it in a natural way when you're doing the kicks in the side. And I'm actually shocked it went as long as it did. I thought this was going to be like a 4-minute match, maybe. It was 14 minutes, right? Something like that.
It was way longer than I thought. I was thinking maybe 7 minutes, brawl outside, get in the crowd, get back in the ring, stunner, get it over with. But I really liked how they drawed it out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was good. And honestly, man, like, by the way, do you think tomorrow's WrestleMania, do you think the card is going to, it seems like this will be more closer to like 3 hours tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and they need to learn their lesson that we like, if they want to show the same recap package they've been showing for a couple weeks, that's fine to update people, but they need to get through that shit faster, because this one went till after 12 Eastern time.
Yeah,
and I understand
it's a lot.
I understand they're down there in Texas, but they operate as if it's on Eastern time. So they know they kept everybody up till fucking midnight with this shit. And to me, Stone Cold Steve Austin's probably the only thing that can get their fan base to do that. I think tomorrow they need to tighten it up. But they can't be letting everybody go long like they did tonight. But
yeah, you have to tighten it up, because it's tough to get through 4 hours, man. Like, honestly, by the end, I was just like, when Stone Cold was in the ring at the end and he was just parading around the ring, I just couldn't wait for it to be over, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
as much as
I stopped what I was doing. Like, I had it on my phone and started doing other shit just so I could hear what was happening in case something happened. And I saw him stunt Saxton, but I was almost done with it when he started with KO. I watched half of it on my phone because I had so much stuff to do. I had it on the TV too, so I saw a bunch of different ways. But yeah, when you get into these one, you got every single match tonight was pretty intense since they took the New Day and Sheamus one out of there. You know, people want to criticize whatever they want to. That's fine. I think this was over delivered. Like I say, when you don't have high expectations for something, you just go in trying to enjoy it. You typically do, and this is what happened here. WWE gave us an example that they could put together a fucking good show, and if you have patience, it'll happen. After what happened tonight, knowing what matches we have looking forward to tomorrow, I'm really excited. I'm beyond excited for the triple threat tag match, Brock and Roman. You know, I really can't wait to see how that ends up. Even the women's tag match, I'm starting to get excited for. You got Edge and AJ, you got Theory, you got Knoxville, all that stuff. Of course, what's going to get cut tomorrow for Tom? You know what I mean?
I know, man. I mean, you just can't.
They got to run all those matches. They can't cut any of those matches.
This cannot go till midnight on Sunday night. It cannot.
Yeah, they gotta fucking get their shit together with that. It's a 2-day fucking event, and they're still going from 8 till mid. They need to start at 7. At 7 o'clock, one of those matches has to happen. That's already on the card. Fuck this Sheamus and New Day thing. Do it on SmackDown. It's a SmackDown match anyway.
And to be honest with you, I don't understand. Right, if you're going to have Ricochet do his thing on SmackDown, and you're not going to have a U.S. title match, you do not need Sheamus and the New Day on WrestleMania.
Right. I mean, and if they're playing all these videos, they don't need Let Me Up segments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and listen, man, I that's the one thing that bothered me. Like, it was just very long, and especially when you just watched 2 hours on Friday, and you watch 4 hours on Saturday, and then you're going to watch 3+ hours tomorrow, and then you're going to watch 3+ hours on Monday. I mean, you don't want to give people fatigue of your product. It's a lot, man.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't want to get people fatigued with our voices either. So we're good.
Yeah, let's go. Let's wrap up.
Let's end this one. But like I say, I don't think people will get fatigued if they deliver anything close to what they did tonight. I think they'll top it. We'll be talking about an even better night too, and we got a good year ahead of us if they continue this kind of work. So we're gonna go off the air now.
Get better Boogs.
Yep. Hopefully Boogs will get better. Get well, buddy. It's a shame they were supposed to win the damn tag titles tonight. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. Stay on the line for a second, Brad, and I'll go off the air.
All right.
Just remember to follow us at Beyond Matt WWE. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Email us at beyondthemattwwe@gmail.com. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode recapping night 2. We're also on all podcast platforms. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thanks for joining me here. I'm out of here. And my buddy Brad, I think, is out too. Say goodbye, Brad.
Good night.